I did that job for a week. I got brought in to talk to my boss, the head of international. And I thought, well, it's been a fun week. He told me, you've been traded to SmackDown. My name is Victor Lorenzo. I am a producer at WWE. I got to be the set PA for Iron Chef America, and I got to be the set PA for Robin Miller's Quick Fix Meals. I was the first PA when Guy Fieri was starting out. I was his first PA. It was while I was at Food Network that I was production assistant on another project at the same time that Iron Chef America was happening. A friend of mine was PA on Iron Chef America while I was the PA on another show. Internally, we had heard that Dave Bautista, WWE superstar, was going to be one of the guest judges on this particular episode of Iron Chef America. And I'm thinking, I need to get to that set to just hand over a resume to somebody. Because being a WWE fan and watching the product on a weekly basis, I knew there is a camera crew with him. I had a lunch break on the show that I was working on. I must have walked across town to the Iron Chef set. My friend that was a PA let me into the set because I wasn't supposed to be there. Found a cameraman with a WWE polo shirt on. Introduced myself. Told him I was very interested in working there. If he would please accept my resume, I look forward to hearing from him. And he exchanged his business card with me. And I got an email, hey, you should be hearing from Human Resources soon. I heard from them. I set up an interview November 2007, driving in my 1991 Buick Regal with no air conditioning from Long Island, New York to Stamford, Connecticut. I had to get to exit 9. Right about exit 4, my radio shut off. Then the car started stalling, and then the car died. I'm 5 exits away, and I had a day of interviews at my dream job. So I called the recruiter. I told him what was happening. He said, don't worry about it. We will pick you up. The recruiter was nice enough to actually pick me up, and I had my day of interviews with different departments. Human Resources drove me back to get my car at the end of the day. Luckily, somebody liked me. And a couple weeks later, they had called me that I'm being offered what was then a temp position to begin January 7th, 2008. My first gig at WWE was working for the international department. The international department was interesting because it would take the live shows, Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and basically make it international friendly. WWE is a global brand, and a lot of our shows need to be catered towards specific parts of the world. We would have to dub things over in a certain language. I got to be a part of taking shows and customizing them for different parts of the world, which was kind of cool to see how big WWE truly was. I did that job for a week. The producer of SmackDown at the time really liked me. He was having some trouble finding a production assistant to fill the role that he needed. So he reached out to HR and said, hey, I'd like to hire Victor Lorenzo. They brought me in my very first Friday. I started on a Monday. My very first Friday, I got brought in to talk to my boss, the head of international. And I thought, well, it's been a fun week, but that's kind of it for me. He told me, which was funny because we always had our annual WWE draft, and he sat me down and said, you've been traded to SmackDown. I'm like, wow, I got drafted. I did international for a week, and he said, forget everything that you just learned, and starting Monday, you'll be the PA on SmackDown. Being a PA on SmackDown, now I'm on a weekly domestic television show. And back then, we used to tape SmackDown on Tuesday nights, edit the show on Wednesdays, and we used to feed it out to the network on Thursdays. That's a big ordeal. At the time, I was still living on Long Island, which was the hour commute. So I would get home at maybe 2 in the morning sometimes 3 in the morning, and then be up 3 hours later to make that drive back to Stamford to do the actual edit of the show. Putting that show together, because it's live to tape, throughout the show, you're getting notes from the executive producer. Make sure this looks good, fix this. We have to redo this video package for the actual airing of the show. It doesn't tape and then we air it. Things have to be fine-tuned. So that edit took all day long. Being a PA on SmackDown every week was a ball of nerves for me. You don't want to screw up. This is a job I've always wanted. I'm in a position where if I screw up, there's a lot of ramifications. This is one of our major shows that we do on a weekly basis. I didn't want to screw up. I would second guess myself because of all the previous jobs that I had. This was the first one where I had a significant role. If I were to screw up something at the Food Network where I was just the set PA, okay, well, I forgot to clean the kitchen table. Run out there and get a rag and you do it. I forgot to get snacks for the dressing room. Yeah, those are big deals, but a screw up on SmackDown would mean, hey, the show doesn't air. The show has a mistake in it. WWE fans, they'll let you know when something doesn't look right. And if something airs that shouldn't have been there, they will absolutely let you know about it. And then, of course, it'll trickle down to whose fault was it. And more often than not, it's the PA's fault. If I could go back in time and tell my younger self anything, just keep doing what you're doing. Everything's gonna work out exactly the way that you hoped it would be. Be respectful of everyone you cross paths with, whether they can help you out or not. Just continue to be a genuine person, because that matters. You know, a lot of this industry is less about what you know and more about who you know, and it's just the sad truth. The skills will come. You could learn all the skills in the world by just doing and learning and asking questions, but being a genuine person is something you can't teach.